Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Task Force on Cultural Respect's year-end event, and it is the highlight, I think, of our year. Let me welcome you. Let me thank you for coming. Our Culture of Respect Task Force is a presidentially appointed entity that includes, I'd like to recognize the members, Dr. Alan Brazier, Lisa Cassidy, Norma Kennedy, Dr. Walt Mason, Mary Smith, Jessica Williamson from our Statesboro campus, and Tracy Woods. I know most everyone who's here. Some of you I know all too well. I'm Dr. Lee Cheek, Dean of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, and we're very, very excited to have Dr. Jackson from Georgia Southern to be our end of the year speaker for our final and I think our most exciting event. As you know, we've had a year-long emphasis on creating a culture of civility as part of the Task Force on Cultural Respect's emphasis and work. We have a website that's part of under institutional initiatives on the president's site of East Georgia State College. If you've not looked there, if you've been here a long time, you haven't looked at it, let me encourage you to look at it. There's a lot of really good information, update on the work that we've been doing, and generally at a time when American society becomes, in many ways, more and more harsh, the notion of civility, the topic of civility is one that should be very much on our minds and I think in our hearts. We started out this year with a convocation on the theme of civility. Choosing Civility was our text, and we had the director of that program here. But as we began the work last summer, Professor Walker came to me and said, "Chief," and Professor Walker's a very straightforward person, always clear thinking. I can't make that claim about myself. She said, "I just heard a great speaker last year on this topic that was very inspiring, very helpful." And she said, she's Associate Dean of Students at Georgia Southern. And I was like, wow, she can handle that situation. She could probably give us some insight here at East Georgia State College. So we began a conversation with Dr. Jackson. We're very excited to be here, have her with us today. Dr. Jackson is officially Georgia Southern's Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs and Dean of Students, where she's been since 2012. So she's a veteran, a talented veteran. She brings 19 years of service in the area of student affairs, has become well known as an advocate of civility, both among and between students, and faculty, and encouraging that throughout the whole college and university communities in which we find ourselves. We are very privileged to have her with us today. We welcome her to East Georgia State College, and please allow me to introduce Dr. Jackson.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today? Cold, yes, it is a little chilly today. First of all, thank you. Thank you to every person who had anything to do with me being here today. Thank you so much for connecting with Tanya and working out all the details. Thank you for making this suggestion. It is my honor. And I'll start with this. Anytime I have the opportunity to stand in front of somebody and to take your time for any reason, I'm going to give you everything I got. Because I understand that time is the only thing that you can't make more of. So the minutes that you spend in this room, you don't get to invest anywhere else. So I'm going to invest in you. Is that okay? So thank you. It's my honor to have just a few minutes to talk to you all about something that I'm very passionate about. Especially as history continues to build in our country and things continue to roll on, I'm getting more and more fire in my belly about civility. And I was sharing with Dr. Cheek that as I do my study, what I see going on across the country in spots is that institutions of higher education, we create these initiatives for our students. Because we want our students to be engaged citizens. And we want our students to be civil and know how to treat each other. But what I'm also seeing is those initiatives don't have a long lifespan. And I believe the problem is you're putting it on a platter and you're feeding it to them, but you're not eating it yourself.
That's right.
So what's going going on here at East Georgia, what you all are working through and building is a bit different, and I haven't seen it before. Because when it's about the entire community, faculty, staff, administration, and students, what you're saying is, students, this is not just for you, but we believe that we need a bite of it as well. And if they see it in us, they're more likely to live it out in themselves. So I need to applaud you, because this is different. And it's not happening everywhere. And we are going to teach them, they're going to get their degrees, and they're going to go out in the world, and they're going to do something. We want them to do good. An educated person is not always a civil person, a nice person, a kind person, a responsible person. So we've got one part of it, we're educating them. They're getting our degrees. We have graduation at the end of every semester. That is happening. But what are we releasing to the world? And what are they going to do when they get there? We have a responsibility in that. And a lot of that responsibility is very personal. So I'm just going to give you my take. I'm going to be out of your way, and I promised that I was going to leave time for questions. So Lisa, I'm going to look at you. Because once I get to going, I'm warning you now. So go ahead, 11:45, give me a little finger, all right? So that I know I need to bring it in and open the floor for questions. I think there are people watching from other campuses, so hey y'all. Thanks for joining us this morning. And when we open up for questions, I'll be sure that you have an opportunity to ask questions as well. So let's get into this. What do you see? Say it out loud. A vase. Two people. Right? Can you see both? Right? Perspective. Civility is about perspective. What position am I in? What corner am I looking from? Can I see the whole story? Or am I too close to the situation and all I can see is the blackness in front of me? Acting in a civil way is all about how we perceive the world. And it's more personal than we think. The way that we treat other people, how we interact, how we work through challenge, because you do realize anytime you're dealing with people, you're going to have challenge. None of us are walking around here working with robots every day with no emotions, right? We don't even want that, because as human beings, we need that feedback. We need that back and forth, that dance that we do as we have conversations. But anytime we're taking advantage of that human interaction, you are going to have conflict. Conflict is not a bad word. It's a natural occurrence. Conflict only means that there are needs that are striking against each other. The original Greek word of conflict is conflictus. It means to strike. You have a need on this side and a need on this side, and those needs are colliding. And too often, what we do, higher education, just in life, anywhere, is we're so focused on the strike that we don't stop to analyze the need. And if we could change our perspective, change our position, our stance, the way we're looking at it, how closely we're taking that view, then we can stop for a minute and realize that there are needs on both sides, or let's be honest, every side. And it's not just about the strike, but it's about the need. So I am going to invite you all to think about my 4 practices of civility. And I say mine. Y'all, this is not my stuff. This is stuff that I've learned or stuff that I've read. But these 4 practices, I believe, can be guiding principles in how we interact with people. Human beings, students, colleagues, people that we supervise, people that have authority over us, they're all people. And we need some guiding principles. We need some guidelines as to how to make those interactions work. So we're going to talk through each one of these 4 practices, and I'm going to encourage you to at least just think about them. And hopefully there's going to be a little seed today that you can take with you that you feel is useful for you. So let's get into it. Watch your words. Our society at times is so nonchalant when it comes to words. We have so many phrases and metaphors and euphemisms, and those things are not necessarily wrong in and of themselves. They're birthed out of culture and interactions and that kind of thing. But if we're not careful, we will forget that words have power. Words have meaning. And my perspective of a certain word may be different than the perspective of another person. But not just the words that I say, but how I say the words that I say. Because communication is not just about the syllables that are rolling out of my mouth, but it's about my body language. It's about my tone of voice. It's about my eye contact. All of those human things that we need to help each other hear and understand. So I have to watch my words, not just the words, but what you wrap the words in. What package are you giving? You could give me a beautiful gift and just jack up the packaging. I may not be able to receive your gift because I don't know. I have to wonder what's going on here. What's this? Is this good for me? Is this dangerous for me? Is this interaction safe for me? Is it okay for me to have this conversation? Is it okay for me to listen? Is it okay for me to respond? See, humanly, when we feel like we have to defend ourselves, when we feel like we might not be safe, we naturally build up a wall of defense. You don't even realize you're doing it because your body is built to do that. So if I'm not sure if this is a safe situation for me, I'm not going to give you everything I got. Because I got to test the waters and then step out and see what happens. I got to put my toe in and then see if I can trust you with the little bit I gave you. So you got to be careful of the words you use and the package you put out in your words because words have power. I tell my students all the time, an apology is a wonderful thing, but it never erased one word. You can say I'm sorry until the day is gone, but it doesn't take away what has already been said. So what's more effective is to think about what you need to say before you say it. Because your I'm sorry does not suck it back out of the atmosphere. It's already out there. I got to brag on my sweet husband real quick. Can I just be myself? Is that okay? And President Bowman, is that all right? And y'all shouldn't have invited me if you didn't want me to be myself. I'm just saying. So, my sweet husband, and he really is, he was made just for me. One of the things that he taught me when we first got married is how to have a passionate conversation. Now, we don't argue, but we have a few passionate conversations. That's life, right? When you're living with another human being, if you don't, you need to find out what's going on. Actually, it's worse if you don't, but this ain't marriage counseling today. So here's what he taught me. This was our first real, like, I'm mad, you're mad, this is not going well today. And in the heat of the moment, and I come from a line of strong women. So I was ready. Oh, okay, this is what we're going to do. Let's do it. But my sweet husband, he said, I need some time. And he walked away. He didn't leave the house, but he went to another room. And he stayed there for a while. And I'm out there cleaning. Y'all, that was the cleanest house I had. I was cleaning that house because I was hot. He gave me enough time to calm down. He gave himself enough time to calm down. But watch this. When he came back out, he said, I need to talk to you. He sat me down right in front of him. And he had this notebook and a pen. And he said, I got some things to say. and I need you to not say anything until I'm done. And he read from his notebook the things that he needed me to hear. And in reading from his notebook, not only did he tell me, I heard you, girl. I heard what you were saying. But more than that, he told me that he cared and he wanted me to feel safe. The act of him taking the time to think through what needed to be said, write it down so he didn't miss anything and he didn't get it wrong or it didn't go left, and to sit me down and look me in my eyes and to share this information with me, it took that defense wall down. Because that told me I am a strong woman, but I can trust this man. So now when we have passionate discussion, we got 2 chairs in our living room. And those are our discussion chairs. Normally we sit on the couch or, whatever. But when it's time to get serious, we sit in those chairs. And I got my list, and he's got his. And we read from our list, and we listen. And we're going to get to that in a minute. And it has helped us get through the tough, the passionate conversations. So what can you give your colleague, your supervisor, your student? What can you give as a gift to encourage them that it's okay to listen? I'm not trying to hurt you. It's all right to hear what I have to say. And oh, by the way, I heard you too. How can you do that so people can receive your gift? The power of words. Let your yay be yay and your nay be nay. Because effective communication is about trust. And if you say, oh yes, I can do it. Yes, I can be there. Oh yeah, I got it. I'll take care of it. Yeah, you can count on me. If you keep saying yeah, at some point you have overloaded yourself. Not that your yeah wasn't from a good heart or good intentions. But the truth of the matter is none of us wear an S on our chest. And we can't do and be everything. But we have a hard time telling people no. We have a hard time because we don't want anybody to be disappointed. We don't want anybody to feel like they can't depend on us. So we feel this pressure to say yes all the time. But the problem with saying yes all the time is you keep overloading, and at some point, something's going to fall. You're going to drop something. And then either you're hurt or somebody else is hurt, something didn't get done, something is forgotten, something's not taken care of, and now the trust that you built with that yes is broken. So let your yes be yes. Don't say a quick yes. It's okay to say, can I have an hour to think about that? Can I get back to you tomorrow? Oh, you know what? Let me check some things. When do you need me to let you know? Especially if you know you are a person who has a hard time saying no. Give yourself some space so that you can adequately process and think about and make a promise that you can keep. I see y'all smiling. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. Give yourself some space. So if you do come back and say yes, it's a real yes. But also, you got to know that there's power in saying no. I had a colleague who, and she's still a very great friend, Anna Sarah, and she told me, she said, Dean Jackson, I'm learning how to say no so I can have better yeses. And that thing stuck with me from that day. I'm learning how to say no so I can have better yeses. There is a line, there's a place where I need to say, I'm so sorry, but I can't help this time. Or have you considered so-and-so? Because they're really good at this. You might want to ask them, or I would love to be there, but I'm already obligated. I've already said yes someplace else, but next time ask me again, because I'm really interested in that. Learn how to say no so you can have better yeses. So when you do say yes, you can make good on that yes, and you don't violate that trust. And anytime you get into a situation where you might have a passionate conversation or a debate with somebody, that trust is still there, and the foundation of trust is so important when things are getting tough. So let your yes be yes, and let your no be no. Let's keep going because I'm already getting stuck. Assess, don't assume. What is the difference between hearing and listening? Somebody tell me. Come on, y'all got to talk to me. What's the difference between hearing and listening? You look like you got something to say.
Listening's active.
Oh, yes, listening's active. Tell me what you mean by that.
I'm paying attention to what you're doing.
Oh, you got it. Listening is active. Because my body has the ability to hear, because there's no damage and there's no interruption to my hearing faculties, I don't have to make an effort to hear. I involuntarily hear. As long as I'm in proximity to you, I can hear and not try to hear. Because bodies do that, right? Listening is different than the involuntary hearing. For listening, it takes an investment from me. So not only am I hearing you, because my body allows me to hear you, but I'm looking at you, I'm paying attention to you, I'm not tweeting, texting, emailing, doing stuff. Oh yeah, I hear you, go ahead, I got it. Oh, yep, Sure did, that was right, okay. I am investing time with you right now. And I hope I'm not making you feel uncomfortable. It's okay. That's all, lady. Okay. I'll move on to somebody else. Sherry and I, we've had the opportunity to work together concerning our students, right? So when we're having a conversation, Sherry, I'm going to look you in your eyes. And I'm going to speak to you in a way that comes from my heart and my truth. Because I know you're human and I'm human. And when I look you in your eyes and speak to you in that way, I know I can touch your heart. Yes, ma'am. It doesn't, I can sing Mary Has a Little Lamb. She said you can do whatever you want. But you see what I'm talking about? The words matter less. It's the connections that I'm making to you in our conversation. So I'm watching you, I'm watching your body language, I'm hearing your words, I'm giving you space to talk. Somebody say amen. Amen. I'm giving you space to talk. Because sometimes we listen to respond, and we don't listen to understand. Here's how you know if somebody's just listening to respond. Before you finish your sentence, they already jumped in and they got the next thing to say. Before your thought is done, they're already on it, and you can't finish. It's just choppy. You feel like you're being cut off. I've been practicing not to do that. Because sometimes it's a habit and you don't even realize you're doing it. But the thing is, I'm not listening to understand you. I'm listening to respond or listening to be right. And neither one of those work effectively in communication. I need to listen to understand and not be so quick to respond, fix, give an answer, bring it to a conclusion, bring it to a close. I'm just trying to hear you right now. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying to me and your perspective. So you listen to understand. You ask good questions. And y'all, I'm talking about daily interactions. I'm talking about projects, department meetings. I have been a part of some meetings, and I'm not talking about Georgia Southern, I'm just talking what I'm talking. But I have been a part of some meetings. You go, first of all, you give an hour of your time, and nobody has just an extra hour. Yeah, I was just chilling in the office. I didn't have nothing else to do. But you give an hour of your time, and then you leave that room, and nothing is accomplished. We all sat around a table. We all had plenty to say, and we're leaving this room in the same shape or in a worse shape than when we came because nobody's listening. Everybody's chiming in. Jump, 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 jump. Nobody's listening to the other one. People, well, I'm piggyback. We don't need you to piggyback. They just said it. That's okay. Stop for a minute to think, what is going to be effective in this conversation? What can I add that would move the conversation forward? Listen and hear intently. I can't tell you, and this is something that I learned as a younger professional, because I'm still, as a younger professional. But I also watch for it in my younger professionals. I can honor a younger professional that's wise enough to come in the room and just listen and take notes And then when they speak, it's like a spotlight. It's like, we needed to hear that. So often, and especially with our younger generation, people feel in order to be validated, I need to be a part of this conversation. I need to be at their table. My voice needs to be heard. Yes, it does, but make it effective. Spend your coins wisely. If you are always interjecting, humanly, we lose value in what you have to say because you always have something to say. Okay, y'all gonna kick me out. But it's the truth. It's the truth. If you have an opinion about everything and expertise about nothing, then you're doing yourself more of a disservice. You don't have to fight for respect. Give it and it'll be given back. You don't have to jockey for position. Invest well where you are and doors will open for you. When that is your stance, when you feel like you got to wrestle and struggle and make your point, and people see that, and you are gaining the opposite of what you want. So assess, don't assume. Feel out the room. Listen to the voices. Listen to the ideas. Take notes. Write things down. Think about it in your own head. Compare it to something you've seen before. And then when you speak, you're speaking based on evidence and not on how you feel. I can't tell you how often I have to tell my students, never make a decision out of your emotions. Don't make permanent decisions in a temporary situation. Don't ever make decisions out of how you feel. You can wake up one morning and feel like, I can conquer the world. And by lunchtime, you're crawling. I just want to make it till tomorrow. Because your emotions change. Emotions are based on what's going on that day, and a lot of things you can't control. So don't make decisions out of how you feel. Make decisions out of what you know. Evaluate. Assess the room. Assess the circumstance. Assess the people with you. And then when you open up, know that you got something that you can stand behind. Is that all right? Ooh, all right, time is flying. I missed one somewhere. There we go. Whew. So every now and then, I have the opportunity to travel and to take a flight here or there. And y'all know, if you ever flown before, they're not going to let me walk through the airport with a bag this size. For the camera, just in case y'all can't see it. They're not going to allow that. This kind of bag you have to check at the gate. One, because there's not room in the part of the plane that I'm flying in for me to carry this thing. Because if I was allowed to carry baggage this big, there would not be room for anybody else's stuff on the plane. So if your bag is a certain size, you got to check that bag at the gate. And then you go through the airport a little bit lighter. Because everybody gets to carry a little bit of stuff. You know, everybody gets to carry some things. We know you need some essentials, but nobody gets to carry all of their stuff all the time, all day long. And now the airports are at a point that they charge you for this stuff. It used to be free, but now they weigh it. They're like, okay, $25 off the top, and every pound off of over 50 pounds, we're going to charge you $50,000. You ready? Okay, not 50,000, I'm exaggerating. But it is expensive. They charge you for your baggage. So what baggage are you bringing to work every day? What's the weight of the baggage that you're dragging around with you every day, all day, at all of your meetings, in your office, in your classroom? What is the baggage that you're carrying with you all day? And expecting everybody around you to respect your baggage. Expecting everybody to just understand, well, that's just who I am. And you accept me for who I am, or you don't accept me at all. What's your baggage? Y'all know, I'm getting winded right now. I'm tired of carrying around this thing, trying to talk to y'all. And people are so surprised when they say, I'm just tired. Do you need a nap? No, I'm just tired. You talking about quitting? No, I don't want to quit. I'm just tired. Normally, that's because you're carrying around some stuff that you need to check at the gate. All of us have lives. All of us have people, family, friends, whoever. If you live in this life, you got stuff. And just because you work at East Georgia College doesn't mean you can put your stuff away. We carry stuff with us, right? But we have to be responsible employees. We have to be responsible professionals to the point that, one, I can acknowledge my baggage. At the airport, there's no question. I know this is mine. Why is your bag so bright? Because I know it's mine. I don't have to guess. So I know what's mine. I know that I had a passionate conversation last night that's not resolved when I go to work the next day. And I recognize that affects my interactions with other people. I know that I've had some professional interactions and situations in the past that affect me now and that I think about when I'm talking to other people. I recognize that. And I make an intentional effort. I'm going to work, whether that's your ride to work, whether you sit in the parking lot for a minute, whether you're in the break room for a minute, whatever you need to do, but recognize you're human. And sometimes you need to take a minute to sit your baggage down. And it's not my place to tell you how you need to do that. I know what works for me. I know what I have to do because it's what I believe. If I roll up in the office and I haven't had my prayer time, it is going to be a rough day for everybody. Because without that, I know what my limitations are. I know Patrice. You have a public self, a private self, and a secret self. Everybody does. Everybody does. I know Patrice. I appreciate the honor that you all are giving me. This gold name tag, it brings me great honor to wear it. But I know Patrice. And nobody knows Patrice like I know Patrice. So I know that there's some things that I have to do for myself in order for me to be Dr. Jackson. There's some things that I am responsible for taking care of for myself in order for me to be Dean Jackson to my students. Or whatever hat you're wearing at the moment, because we wear so many. So check your baggage. And then do what you need to do to keep it in place. Deal with it. Work through it. Because all of that matters when you're interacting with other people. You might feel mad at the people you work with, and it's not even about them. It's not even about work. It's just life. But you're still responsible. It's not fair for everybody else to have to carry your life all day long. Or get their toes run over by your baggage. So y'all look quiet for me. So look at your neighbor and say, check your baggage. As y'all can see, I like a little interaction. See, I didn't tell you, your neighbor did. Check your baggage. Now, in addition to your baggage, everybody has what I call, and there's some reading out there on this, an invisible backpack. Everybody's got one. Everybody in this room. Everybody you know. Everybody's got one. And in your invisible backpack is everything you've learned through experience, through words, everything you've learned along the way, all of your memories, everything is in your invisible backpack. You got one. You didn't know you put it on this morning, but you put it on. You put it on every morning. And this invisible backpack determines how we interact with people, how our conversations go, everything that we're trying to do successfully. If we don't know what's in our backpack, it can stop us. All of us have stuff. Everybody does. Everybody does. The key is to know you have stuff and know how to work through your stuff. One of the things we get to do in higher education, if we do it right, is people come to our institutions as students. And if we do this right, they're learning their subject matter, but they're also having an opportunity to unpack their backpack. We provide experiences that allow them to explore what they're carrying around on a daily basis, and it's different colors and different shapes and different cultures and different words and different experiences and different memories and different everything. And if we do our job right, they're going to take that stuff out along the way and get to decide. They get to decide, this works and helps. I'm going to take that with me. This is not helpful for me. So I'm going to set that over there, and I'm not going to carry it with me every day. I might not throw it away. I might sit it on the dresser, but I'm not going to carry that with me every day. These things fit together, and that works pretty well. Back in the backpack. This is not working for me. So let me just set that over to the side. How are we going to help them do that work if we haven't done it for ourselves? We have some very intelligent people, very accomplished people who are immature emotionally. And when we deal, and I'm not talking about East Georgia, I'm just talking about people. And when we are trying to interact and do our mature work that we have earned to do because of our accomplishments, and we get frustrated because we can't accomplish anything, I would encourage you to check your backpack. What else is going on that you haven't attended to, that if you did, it would allow you to go so much further? So check your backpack. Lisa ain't putting her finger up, but I know I'm getting close. All right, I'm getting close. I'll close with this. Last one, find your middle. I taught an FYE course in the fall called Find Your Middle. And students came in completely confused. They didn't know what that class was about. Y'all are probably confused right now. But what I tried to do, and well, I'll back up. My students came in and I did a little assessment, and they had some very strong views about a lot of things. They had very strong views about undocumented immigrants, and they had very strong views about Black Lives Matter, and they have very strong views about Confederate flags, and they have very strong views about billionaires and people who have or make a lot of money. They just knew it all. Yeah, when I was 21, I knew it all too. They knew it all, right? So as we went through the class, what I did was I exposed them to more of the story. Do you really know it all? Do you really understand perspectives from different sides of these issues? So I intentionally exposed them to conflicting views. Here's what this side believes and why. Here's what this side believes and why. And y'all know most of the challenges we have are not just two-sided. So there are many different views, not to change their minds, but to expose them. And by the end of that FYE course, they're like, I don't know nothing. I don't understand. I don't know. I have no idea. And that's where I wanted them to be. I wanted them to be in a place that when you see a headline or an article or a news report, when you see something pop up and something going on, you don't automatically just form an opinion about that thing without being informed. We live in a world of extremes. We've got extreme poverty and we have extreme wealth. We've got a right side and we've got a left side. We're conservative and we're liberal. We are this and we are that. And people like to live in those extremes because that's easy. It's easy to say, well, this is what I believe, and that's it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it because this is the truth, and that's it. That's easy. The hard part is listening to somebody else's truth and maybe not changing your mind. That's okay, but at least listening to understand. It's listening to understand and recognizing that my truth may not be truth to everybody else. And that's a personal choice. And I respect you for making your personal choice. We've got to find a way to find the middle. Not to waver on what's important to us, but to be open to learn and understand and hear. Know what you believe and why you believe it. Know where you draw your line in the sand. You need that for yourself. But where you draw your line may not be where other people draw their line. And you respect them because they're human. And you hear them because you want to learn. That doesn't mean you have to step over your line or break it. But that means they're human and they deserve your respect just like you deserve theirs. Our country is broken. because nobody wants to find the middle. Nobody wants to stop to say everybody is right and wrong. Right according to who? This is good, this is bad. Good for who? Bad for who? It's not black and white. We can't draw a line down the middle. It's not that simple. We've got too many hundreds of years of history in order to do that. So we, starting where we are right now, can start to, at least with the people who you share an office with, at least with the people who sit in your classroom and you have influence over their learning. At least sometimes we see work people more than we see our own family. At least with the people that you're around all day, at least with the people in your house. Stop to hear. I'm going to tell y'all one quick story and then I'm stopping. We, in our vice president's office a couple years ago, we had a wonderful woman working there. She retired and now she's back. Miss Gale. Miss Gale has been at Georgia Southern maybe 30 years. And sometimes people call angry, they end up with Miss Gale. So Miss Gale picked up the phone. I don't want to be transferred. I don't want you to hang up. I just want you to give me what I'm asking for. Now at that point, Miss Gale had a choice. She had a choice. She could have said, click, done. She could have said, I don't know who you're talking to, but you're going to talk to me like that. You pull yourself together, hang up and call me back when you feel better. She could have done that. She didn't do that. Miss Gale said, I hear you. Please tell me what you're asking for. In this tone. This person was on 15. Miss Gale's on 4. Tell me what you need. I need to get in touch with my daughter. She's a Georgia Southern student. I know you have her phone number. Give it to me now. I am her father. And how dare you not give me her information? Miss Gale, tell me more. I have called all over this campus and I'm tired of being jerked around. If you don't give me her number, I'm getting in my car and I'm coming straight to your desk. Tell me more about your relationship with your daughter. Ooh. Wasn't expecting that question. It was an open question, it was a caring question, and it was a digging question. I'm trying to figure out more. I'm trying to learn. Because I could run to my extreme because you're definitely on your extreme. Or I could figure out more. When was the last time you talked to her? Last year. Coming down now. That seems unusual. That breaks my heart to hear that. Coming down now. Why haven't you spoken to your daughter since last year? Well, since we got divorced, I haven't been able to get in contact with her. And I just want her to know that I love her and I'm thinking about her every day. But nobody won't help me get in touch with her. And she's a grown-up. And she can choose if she wants to talk to me or not. But I just want her to know that I've been thinking about her. I hear you. I hear you. Now I understand a little better. Now, you know we have policies and procedures, right? So Ms. Gale couldn't say, what's her name? Here's her number. Please don't do that. Because you say you're her father, but we don't know you. Don't do that. So she said, I tell you what. Because our first reaction is, let me tell you what I can't do. And you're going to take him back to 15. Because all day, people have been telling him what he can't do. She said, let me tell you what we're going to do. And I think you're going to agree with this. If you will give me your name and your phone number and her name and her date of birth, if I find that she's a student here, she didn't give too much. If I find that she's a student here, I will personally contact her. And I will personally share with her that you've been thinking about her and you'd like to be in contact with her. And then the ball is in her court. And it's up to her. Is that something we can agree on? Would that be okay with you? Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to know. He was demanding the phone number. But what he really wanted was for his daughter to know he was thinking about her. And if Miss Gail had ran to her extreme, she never would have gotten there, and there would not have been resolution, and who knows after that. So find your middle. So, watch your words. Check your baggage. Assess, don't assume. And find your middle. Because your middle might be different than mine. But at least dig a little bit. Find out what's going on. Listen to understand. And then take action after that. 5 minutes over. I hope y'all got something out of that. I'm going to stop right there. Thank you. At this time, are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Dr. Jackson, thank you very much for coming and sharing with us. I think a lot of us have been very deeply involved in this field, strengthened tremendously by your comments. So let me ask you for your advice.
Okay.
This is a very selfish question. On
Okay.
behalf of the Culture of Respect Task Force,
Gotcha.
maybe on behalf of the East Georgia State College community as well. But June 25th, 2015, President Buckner in the cabinet meeting mentioned we needed to think about these topics. We need to move in that direction. And then he appointed our task force. And he said, well, let's see, who's the loudest and who's the most bewildered? Oh, that's Chief. So we're going to make him the chair of the task force.
Perspective. Go ahead.
So, and I'm joking, but over the course of 3 years, we put together a statement, a series of principles, some guidelines for interacting, and we've been the last 2 years really an education program. Especially the last year has been very intense, based upon Choosing Civility, Professor Forney's book, and the Johns Hopkins Project. And we've had monthly events, and this is our, as I mentioned in the introduction, our final event of the academic year. I think as a task force, and for a lot of folks who are not part of the task force but have been very involved here, we feel fully deployed as an effort. But at the same time, we still seem to be reaching in large part the same group of people. We do have folks who come and go, and we're very grateful for that, and we think that's having a positive influence. But someone came up to me a few weeks ago and said, Chief, I think your Culture of Respect Task Force is run out of gas, or running out of gas. I won't mention that person's name to protect the guilty, but I think we all have had that idea.
Okay.
Where do we go? Because we've had sectors of the college we've not been able to reach, not been able to engage in dialogue along the lines of you discussed. Where would you recommend we go from that point?
So, and y'all, excuse the language that I use. I'm not trying to suggest any religious whatever. It's just who I am, so it's the way I communicate. I hope it's okay. But the word I'm going to use is a missionary. Okay, here's what I mean. What you in the task force has started by building a foundation. That's first. You've got to build a foundation, and you've done a beautiful job in building the foundation. And this is just out of our conversation so far today, so take it for what it's worth. But the power and the movement doesn't come until you planted seeds and you've got missionaries, people in all of the departments, all over campus, including your students, who are as passionate about what you're serving as you are. So you've got to find a way to engage those people. First you got to find them, then you got to engage the people in what you're doing. If people have an investment, they'll show up. If we're having a party, if I'm having a party, and I say, you bring the chips, Mr. President, if you'll bring the dip, if you'll bring the ice, if you'll bring the sodas, on Friday night, you might say, I don't feel like going to Patrice's house. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I got to bring the chips. I got to bring the ice. Gosh. Okay, I'm just going to take the sodas by, tell everybody hello, and then I'm out. And then you get there and you have a wonderful time. It's because I gave you something to do. Sometimes we take the mentality of, I'm going to do it for you and give it to you, and you're going to love it. But the power doesn't come until you give me something to do. Give me a piece of it. Let me invest in it. So who are the people throughout your campus that you can have a conversation with, have coffee with, bring them to the table in some way? Get them invested so it's not your feet and the feet of the committee that have to carry all the burden, but now it's starting to spread and you got pockets of it all over your campus. I'll tell you one more secret. Your students are magic. If you get in them, it'll run like wildfire. Any major shift or movement in our country, if you study, it was young people. It was college students who fueled all of those movements and shifts. Get your students engaged. We have something at Georgia Southern called values. Voices, accountability, lasting tradition, unity, ethical behavior, and scholarship. We start teaching it in orientation. We do a whole session, a whole reader's theater skit kind of thing of these are our values. And we get our student leaders to do that. I'm not standing there, even though values, I feel like that's my baby. I don't share the message. My students share the message. And what I'm seeing now, even on social media, somebody will say something sideways and a student will say, we have values at Georgia Southern and we don't do that, so you need to pull that in. Dean Jackson doesn't need to do that because they expect me to do it. But when my student leaders do it, then there's power in it. So you need some missionaries. You need some people who are engaged, invested, believe in it. Everybody's on the same page of what we're trying to accomplish, and they will help spread the message. If you keep it within your coalition, it will fizzle out. Every time. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Jackson, you've done a wonderful job with the presentation. But I'm also very interested in outcomes since you've been doing this. What would we look for the assessment of the outcomes of a culture change? How would we know?
Question. That's a good question. And I'm going to be real honest and transparent with you. I don't feel comfortable that I can say I've been doing this. So these are my personal feelings, my research, and we have the values program, and students, I can see it rising. But what I haven't done successfully that you're doing is engage my faculty and my staff colleagues into that language, right? So I just want to be forthcoming because what happened is we rolled it out to students first, and then we went and thought it was great news and started sharing it with people. They were like, we didn't vote on that. Did that go to faculty senate? Faculty, hey, we didn't approve that. What values? What? Crushed my little spirit, y'all. But that's the truth of the matter. So what I learned the hard way is get people invested on the ground floor. Bring them to the table as an equal partner because they might not always like the dinner that you're cooking. So ask them to help contribute, and then you're more likely to be successful. So I wanted to start with that. What I would encourage you to do is to find the outcomes for your community. Start with where the idea came from. So you have a president who knew something, who noticed something that in his heart caused him to say, we need to do something about this. What was the this? What was the thing that caused President Bowman to say, I think we need to think about civility? From that, you can create what your outcomes should be and do it intentionally. This is what we're trying to accomplish, and here are the action steps we're going to take to get there. Be very intentional in your planning. And sometimes creating those outcomes, we need to sit down and have an honest conversation. And not just try to hide something under the rock. Just say, it came from this, and we've got to get away from this. So as a community, I encourage you to establish what those outcomes are.
I think to put Dr. Rozier's question and mine together, we have a preamble with very thoughtful principles.
Okay.
I think your sermon to us, I mean that in the most positive context.
I get that all the time.
As a clergyman.
Yes, sir, I hear you.
Is that you're telling us not to give up.
I'm definitely telling you not to give up. Absolutely, but I'm also telling you to be very intentional. So in your preamble, your principles, are they action focused and can they be measured? So I can have a philosophy of what I think civility looks like, right? And in my heart, it's very clear. But how do I measure that? How do I know when we have become that? And making it measurable is not just about the outcome, but also if it's measurable, you can put action steps to it. Instead of just sitting around and saying, hey, that's a great idea. Bring Dr. Forney, bring Patrice Jackson. Yes, this sounds great. Let's do it, and it's going to work. What was your purpose for bringing Patrice? What did you want to accomplish, and did you accomplish it? What were the learning outcomes? What did you want people to get out of that? You're doing it all the time. This is higher education. We do it all the time in our classrooms. What is it that we wanted people to learn, know, feel, do? And are they learning, knowing, feeling it, and doing it? What you also do, so you gain fire because you give people marching steps. You give them something to do, right? But then you're also empowering your leadership to be able to say, we can keep investing here. Numbers talk. Evidence-based decision making, it matters. In my heart, we need to do this, absolutely. And I love your heart, but your heart don't speak money. So make sure that there are outcomes that you can show we are effective and moving towards our goals, and let me prove it to you. Here it is. We set out to do this. This data shows we're doing it. So not to take the power away from it, but to build up a foundation under it. So don't stop, but be very intentional about your next steps. Either I thoroughly confused you or everybody's good. I appreciate the time. Like I said, it's an honor for me. I know you could have been doing a number of other things, but you took this time to spend with me, so thank you. I don't know. Can they talk to us?
Yeah. They should be able to.
They can? Can we hear you all?
Yeah, they're waving.
Hey.
We can hear you.
Oh, great. Are there any questions there?
I would like time to formulate a better one, and I don't think we have the time permitted. I have a sort of idea in the back of my brain, and I guess I'll have to really ruminate over it before I formulate a good question.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. If you have a pen, let me give you my email address.
All right.
Ready? It's P is in Pat, B is in boy, UCKNER. So P Buckner. So if I go back one, it's P Buckner at georgiasouthern.edu.
You spell it out.
Spell it all out at georgiasouthern, no spaces, no underscores, .edu. If you think of a question, or if you formulate that question, send it to me by email, and I will get you. And again, this is Patrice's answer, y'all. For whatever it's worth, I'll give you what I got, because I am passionate about what y'all are doing here, and I think it's the right thing. I think it's the right thing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.